Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell. Welcome to Khimki, or Khimki. I always pronounce it a little bit strangely. Now today we're going to go see some Russian football. The actual stadium is right behind me. Now I'm a little bit early, so I'm going to go and get a drink and just relax a little bit before I head on inside. I'm going to show you what a Russian football match is like here in Moscow. Now we're actually a little bit outside of the center of Moscow, and today's match is between Khimki and Zenit St. Petersburg, so that should be interesting, I think. So this is Arena Khimki. Now I'm going to say Khimki and Khimki a lot today because I do know the correct way to pronounce it, but I always say it wrongly. The stadium actually opened in 2018 and it has a capacity of about 19,000 people. Curious how many people will be attending today. Now I am here quite a few hours earlier than the actual match, so there's really not that many people around. And we're actually in Moscow region. The main highway, which is only a few hundred meters from here, is the separation between Moscow and Moscow region. So I am actually outside of Moscow today, but only just. I've actually got a press pass for today, actually this direction. And I've been given the chance to come for a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look at Russian football. Now, I'm in the actual underneath of the stadium right now, behind the scenes, and I was told in a few minutes the players from Zenit St. Petersburg are going to come through a door just here, and we're going to be able to wave to them, say hello to them, I'm not sure. So let's experience this together. I haven't actually been to this stadium before, so it's all a first for me coming here. And this is essentially the players' entrance, and the bus is going to pull up right here by this door. And there is actually a few press and television already here. Hopefully you can get a bit of a scoop before the game starts. And here comes the players for Zenit St. Petersburg. Now I don't actually know any of the players. However, I'm sure if you're a fan, they may look familiar, I wonder. That's pretty cool. I think only really a few people like myself maybe get to see this. However, they're all coming in. There you go. Check that out. That's very neat. Looks like perhaps somebody's doing something similar to what I'm doing, and he's following the team and doing behind the scenes. For the actual game, once it starts, I can't film the game. I can do a few seconds here and there. However, because of the nature that it's televised on Russian television, you can't show the match. But I'll do my best to show you as much as I can behind the scenes. So I actually met a couple of other press here who I recognized from the Dynamo match, and they showed me here on the wall there's a small mention of the fact that the stadium is amazing, and it's from Jose Mourinho. And back when European clubs would play matches here for the European Champions League, he commented on how amazing this stadium is. Thank you guys. When I first walked in, I didn't actually even notice these slogans on the sides of the wall here, and they're all by either players or coaches who have played at this stadium, and they're essentially complimenting the stadium itself and the facilities, and they're all past players or coaches who have visited this club at some point. One of the other things with getting a press ticket is you can come into the press bar, and it's not actually a bar, it's really just a lounge with some tables and chairs, and you can get some water, some snacks, some coffee, and then you'll see other people from the media here and photographers. Of course, I'm a little bit early, and then this is what they call the mixed zone, or at least one of them, and the tables here Perhaps you've seen behind the scenes sometimes on other sporting events where people set up their equipment and their cameras and laptops and can start working on the game that's about to start. There's actually another game already going on at a different location. So most people are just hanging out and relaxing just like I'm doing. I managed to get myself a sandwich and a drink, and I can just relax now ahead of the start of the game. But how nice is this? All from the press bar right here. And there isn't too many people because I am a little bit early, so more people will eventually arrive. After making my way up a few flights of stairs, finally made it to the level where my seat will be. And this is also essentially where people come to the upper tiers of the stadium as well. They have a small little cafe here. The one thing at Russian football, they don't serve alcohol, and it's all just snacks, drinks, chips. Very simple food. Now, again, I'm here a little bit early, so there's not really a big crowd, but just the basic things, nothing tricky. And then where I need to go is through this door right here, and then find my seat right here. And this is actually the walk out to the stadium from the upper terrace. Of course, depending on where you would come, if you came with a regular ticket, let's call it, there is a lot of places that you can sit. Of course, they've got the home and away fans that would be behind the goals. And have a look. How beautiful does the pitch look? Wow, this is amazing. Of course, they're playing music over the speakers. That's an absolute given at any event you come to, and it always makes filming a little bit more difficult. So we just have to grin and bear it, and hopefully it's not too loud in the background. The actual stadium itself is quite close to residential areas, and you can just see off in the background some of the buildings and apartments. And I think maybe from these top floors you can even see right into the stadium. And then you'll see here also the media and one of the commentators for the upcoming match. He's preparing his notes, I think, for the start of the game. So this is really a little bit of an extra behind the scenes look. What goes into essentially making sure this makes it on television here in Russia. As I walk down to find my seat, they're actually bringing out some of the advertising and banners ahead of the players coming out onto the field. And there isn't a very large crowd in attendance. There is a few fans. Now, Khimki is quite well known as being in the second league of Russian football. And of course, Zenit St. Petersburg, they're champions of the league a couple of times. So there is actually the very famous away fans behind the goals there. And then all the fans that are right down where they want to see the players come out from the race. So the players have made their way out onto the field. They've shook hands and they're just about to kick off. They don't do a lot of pre-game events at Russian football matches. Really and truly, the players walk out, they shake hands, they take a photo like you'll see there, they're doing their team photo, and that's about it. And it gets underway. So we're currently 24 minutes into the match, and they've actually stopped for a drinks break. It's actually a really beautiful day here in Moscow today, and they stopped for a few minutes to get some drinks and fluid. And you can just see off in the distance over here, this is the St. Petersburg fans, or the away end, let's call it, and they've all got their shirts off and enjoying the beautiful weather, and I think they're just about to get back underway. It's currently half time, and I've just come a little bit closer to the pitch, and find it really interesting that all the fans are on this side of the stand, and then right here, which would be the center, is empty, and everything on this left-hand side, there is nobody here. Now, there is a few fans that have probably got in for a drink or to the toilet, but why is everybody only sitting on one side? Someone needs to tell me. If you're a football supporter, maybe there's a reason for it, or just the way they sell the tickets. And the thing with Russian football is very interesting, because for you to be able to buy a ticket here, you've got to have what's called a fan ID, which is a QR code once you've set it up in the system that allows you to actually purchase tickets and then come to the stadiums, which is linked back to the main government database called Gosta Lugi, which everybody has. And I was talking to somebody here and asking why there isn't a lot of fans in the away, or the home seats behind the goals. And for Khimki, a lot of the fans are not wanting to come to the games because of the ticketing system that they've implemented. And I just find that personally a little bit strange. I understand the system and what they're doing and the reason behind it, but why people just don't want to come because they have to have essentially a registered account for them to be able to buy a ticket. And, you know, do you really hold a grudge against the government because of that and don't want to come and support your team? And they've got the music playing again over the speakers. The thing I find when I've come to this match today, it really is a family-friendly sort of atmosphere. It doesn't, to me, feel like the Russian Premier League. Now, these are the teams that are in the top flight of Russian football, so there is leagues under this. However, Zenit St. Petersburg are multiple national champions of the Russian Premier League. So you'd think that even people in Moscow would want to come and see the best team playing, but there's really just a very small crowd here. So the match has actually come to an end, and it was 1-1. Now, both goals were scored in the second half, and in the history of matches between Zenit and Khimki, actually Khimki has never beaten Zenit in all the matches that they've played against each other. There's been a couple of draws, and this will be another one, but they've never outright won. So I guess we'll take this as a fair result. And the crowd coming down towards the front of the stand to show appreciation for the players. So after the match, I've come downstairs to the what's called mixed zone, where all of the press and reporters come to talk to the players. And a lot of these guys are like independent bloggers and people that cover sport, and they interview the players. It's very nice for them to actually stop and do this. This is something that you really don't see when you go to a match. And then over here you'll see there's a bit more of a group of people showing this, and lots of questions. Actually, the TV station there is also covering to ask questions. It's really like a bit of a scrum of people. What it is, basically, the players have to leave from the change rooms to catch the bus. So they're all walking off, or at least leaving. So each of the different people here, they're all trying to get exclusives and have interview that maybe nobody else has. It's not shared content, and they're all talking very softly, and it's really very nice of the players to come and do this and allow smaller content creators to make the footage. Of course, the news is here, and they're definitely getting interviews as well, but how close can we get to the players? I really hope this is an interesting video and a little bit of a behind the scenes at a Russian football match. Of course, the whole thing is to come to a game, see some goals scored, and go home happy. But of course today it was a draw, so there's really mixed sentiment amongst the fans, I think. Okay, so there is a few players that speak different languages, and I think this gentleman is from Brazil, if I'm not mistaken, and they've got a translator here for him. So they're asking him questions in Russian, and through the translator you get the answer, of course. And they provide this for all the players that are, particularly the foreign players. And again, they get this interview basically translated back to Russian, because they're all interested with the foreign players, right? There's such a big deal about it. I decided for this video not to come to the press conference. They held this just a little bit earlier, where the team managers come to the room here. It's very classic Russian looking, the big comfy chairs and these desks and all the advertising for the clubs in the background. And look how big this room is here. You can imagine in years gone by when they might have had Champions League matches here, or some kind of European club coming to attend, that this would be full. However, for these Russian league matches, not as many of the media come to them, because maybe they'll have attended a different match. So yeah, this is pretty cool behind the scenes. While I've been waiting here, I've been talking to the two different people here that are interviewing this player, and they've waited about 45 minutes for him to come out from the change rooms, and the other people that are part of the press can't come over to ask him questions. So it's very interesting. They're all still over there, and of course they all want to get an exclusive or a first of something, and the questions. But they've specifically waited for this one player from Zenit to come out from the change rooms and to get on the bus. So the bus for Zenit is just coming out from the stadium now. Of course, we were back behind the fence and wall just there, and all of the fans who stayed back to see if they could catch one of the players. Really interesting. And these are the real true passionate fans, I think, by a long way. And the buses head off in the distance. So I was thinking to end the video here, and I don't think I've actually filmed too much video today, so I think I'm going to take you on the train and show you a little bit of my journey home, maybe just a few minutes of it at least. So I hope you enjoy this last part. Of course, the football segment of the video is finished, and you can see the stadium just off behind me here. And I'm going to walk now to the train station to get my train home. I have around about a 5-minute walk from the stadium to the train station. I really am out in the suburbs here. Lots of very classic Russian apartment buildings. They've got a very nice pathway that they built at some point, and people out walking and just enjoying this beautiful day. It's actually been very nice today. So a couple more minutes and the train station should appear. I decided to take a bit of a shortcut through one of the districts right here and check these out. These perhaps Soviet statues. They're really designed for the kids to climb on and play on. And there's a turtle and different animals. This is really suburban Russia at its finest. Here in Khimki they actually have a very famous or very well-known local food market right behind the pig here. And I think to get to the train I might just briefly walk through there. And I wonder who this is, if maybe he's a famous character. Someone can let me know in the comments. Maybe he's well known for the region, I'm not sure. A couple of years ago I was actually here for a TV interview, and for some reason they wanted me to come to this food market, and it's about 2 hours from my house, It's a very nice food market, mind you. And everywhere in Russia has these markets. They call them rynoks. And I think this one maybe is a little bit more famous than some others. You can see all the nice fruits and vegetables. And then perhaps some bread. And then there's also cottage cheese and salads. So you don't need to go to a supermarket. You can find all the cheeses here that you like. And then even back here, different things for cooking. You can see olives, there's tomatoes, and then all of the different pickles in these buckets. You buy this by weight. Pickled cucumbers, tomatoes, I think onions. Oh, there's I think maybe not onions. All the very nice cheese. And then simply, I just need to walk out and the train is right there. I think actually it would be interesting to come back here and film a full video, because this particular market has a lot of very nice fruits and vegetables. Much bigger than the one where I live. It's much smaller. Got raspberries and grapes. And literally, it's all by weight, of course. You get yourself a plastic bag and choose whatever you like. And you'll see there's even a line for people to pay. And even some corn as well. Very nice. Perhaps I'm going to make this vlog a lot longer than what I realized. And they've also got the outdoor cellars. This is an absolute staple of any Russian town, and especially by the train station. There's always going to be these markets. Have a look at those mushrooms. Wow. And all the different stone fruits. And more mushrooms as well here. Check those out. Wow. Very nice. Now, maybe not always beautiful by the train station, but you can find a bargain, find something, maybe not in a supermarket. Have a look at the raspberries. Very nice. After a few minutes of panic and wondering which is the correct platform, I'm now waiting for the train that'll head towards Moscow. I'll actually catch it basically towards the center of Moscow and then change to another train to get me home. And there is actually 4 platforms here. That's what made me a little bit confused for a minute. It's all peaceful and quiet now. But when I was going to catch what I thought was the right train, it wasn't. So let's wait for the one I need to catch. All right, and how is that for timing? Exactly where I can jump on. Nice. Let's find a seat. This is pretty much the same exact train that I'll end up catching home. This is of course on a different line. These are a fairly new model of train, and they've even got charging stations underneath right there. It's air conditioned. It's a very nice train to catch. I'm just having a look on the Moscow Metro app, how to get home. It's 1 hour and 41 minutes. So the train I'm currently on, then I'm going to change to the Metro and then get back on a similar train to this. We're currently on the D3 line, and we're going to end up going home on the D4 line. As Moscow goes by out the window, there's always some small construction going on by the train lines. You can see some of the apartments off in the distance. Now, the one question I have for everybody is, would you be happy to drive home in Moscow traffic, probably about 2 hours from here, or from where the stadium was? Or do you think just sitting in a train, nice and comfy, enjoying the sights out the window is for you? Let me know, what would you choose? Would you be happy on the train, or would you want to drive there and back? As one train heads off in the distance. That's going to actually go through the center of Moscow and then keep going to the east. And I need to transfer to the next train. It's called the Moscow Central Circle, MCC is where I'm going now. We can just see off in the distance the station. It's a huge complex, this particular interchange from the suburban trains to what would be the Moscow Metro. The station where we're changing from one train to the other is called Likhovbore, and I don't know what that translates to in English. They've got this very big overpass right in front of me, and then there's another very big overpass. It's a little bit hard to see from here. However, it's just so big, the Moscow Metro network, and they've worked so hard to connect all of these different suburban trains with the Moscow Metro trains, and sometimes they've got to go over major highways and byways. And let's keep going. Hopefully all of the stations and interchanges are marked in English and Russian, and it's very easy. As long as you just follow the arrows, you really can't get lost. Have a look at this overpass. Actually, this goes over the train, which we'll eventually catch. And I think on the other side there, you can see the highways. This is a very big overpass. And this would only have been open perhaps in the last 5 or 6 years, since the MCC train came into full operation. When you're actually catching a circular train, it's quite important to know which direction you're going, clockwise or counterclockwise. And it's very easy, if you've not been to this station before, it's not your usual station, that you can get lost quite quickly and end up in the wrong direction. Beautiful late afternoon sun as well. And this is where we need to go, down this escalator, and the train will eventually come right here. Such nice, amazing weather today. Probably doesn't show it as well on camera. There is a train coming now, so we're either going to catch that or miss it. Let's see. I just managed to catch this train. That was super interesting because I was making a bit of a dash and all the doors closed except the last door that I got on. And this is the Moscow Central Circle. It's actually a really nice train to catch this because you can do a full lap around Moscow. I think it's about 80 kilometers, if I'm not mistaken. And you can bring bikes on board. There's very nice comfy seats. And we're doing just about 70 kilometers an hour. Very nice and comfy train, this one. Someone who's perhaps from Russia might want to correct me in the comments, but these trains that are on this circle route were actually from Sochi, and they had these trains during the Olympics. I think it was in 2018 was the Winter Olympics, and these trains were actually there for that, and then they came here to Moscow. As I leave one train behind, I really want to thank whoever the driver was for that train to leave that last door open for me, because that was just so nice. I'm now here at Kutuzovskaya train station, and this is very interesting because there's 3 types of train that passes through here. There's the Metro, there's the MCC that I got off, and then I'm going to actually end up changing and going over to the MCD right over there. This particular interchange here is very newly built and newly opened, and you can go on 3 different train networks, and it's a really very interesting station because of the fact that you can catch literally a train in almost any direction in Moscow from here. And I think based on the amount of people coming out of the station, they might have just missed the train, but it's okay, we can get the next one. Scan the card and head on through, and let's have a look. Now we're actually, where I am right here is the station after Moscow City, and if the train isn't going to come right now, which is literally a couple of minutes late, the next train is 7 minutes behind it, so no worries. Have a look. It's really hard to get a good view of Moscow City from this station. You can just see it off in the distance. There is actually a train coming now, but this one doesn't terminate at my station. So I'm going to let this one go by because it's not going to stop where I want to go, and I'll catch the one in a few more minutes, which will basically be the train after this one. So I could catch this and get off and catch another one, but it's easier just to let it pass and catch the one after it. Actually, you can see again that view of Moscow City blocked by a train, but what a skyline. As that train leaves, it's got a few minutes till the next one. This is Sunday evening as well, and there's only a few minutes gap between the different trains. And this is something very cool. Now, I probably can't get it into shot entirely, but this was, I think, perhaps the station master's room or office right here. And you can of course see how modern this station is, and the fact that it's basically been built up over the years. And what they did was they actually left this here as a building of significant importance, and they built around it, so the actual roof of the station should have continued all the way across. However, they decided to break in between and leave this building right here. And how cool is that? And just very unique that they've not removed it or demolished it. I'm not exactly blessed with the nicest train heading home. They don't even have the lights on. What's going on? And this is my luxury train to Aprilivka. I'm not so lucky to have the E-Volga today, so I'm gonna have to put up with this. Okay, so I'm gonna end the video here, and had to wait for the train to come out from the tunnel to get a bit of light. And actually it's still very nice outside, so it's not a problem. It was just dark because we were in a underpass getting on the train. So I really hope you enjoyed this video and going to the football, and I hope it's not too loud right now. And the game was very good. It was a draw, 1-1. That's okay. The Zenit St. Petersburg team are actually the ladder leaders of the Russian Premier League right now. They also won the last 2 or 3 championships, so they really are a very successful team. And for Khimki to draw with them, that was really good. They've never beaten them in the history of the two teams playing each other, which is very interesting. They were 1-0 up, and then of course Zenit scored to equalize. I hope you like this behind the scenes look of a Russian football match, and then this extended trip home. If you've got to the very end, you are really a train fanatic or a train buff. So let me know in the comments. If you post the comment choo choo, which is what a steam engine train would do, I know you're watching at this last point of the video. So give it a thumbs up, post a comment. If you want to see more train or Moscow transport videos, also let me know and I can definitely come and ride the rails. And we're slowly heading on out. There's actually a bit of a curve here and a change of tracks. It's probably hard to see, but there's quite a few different connecting lines right out the window here, so we just have to get through that little passage and then we're on a straight shot home. If you want to join me on Telegram, it'll come up right now. And if you want to see an old video, perhaps you want to see a train video because you've reached the end, I'll put one for you to watch right now. Thanks everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.